Welcome to the Tonya Hofmann's fabulous TV show. I am Tonya Hofmann, your host, and as always, I have the most amazing guest star, and today is no exception, is Miss Carmen Buck. Hey, Carmen.
Hey, Tonya, how you doing?
Fabulous. So we're going to hear from Carmen in just a second and find out all kinds of juicy information. But for really quickly, I want to remind you that we want you to go out there and change the world from the front of the room. That's what we're all about, is helping you go out and change lives. So we want you to go right after this program to Public Speakers with an S, Association all spelled out, .com, and find out how you become a member of the Public Speakers Association as well, so that we can help you get out there, find speaking opportunities, learn how to speak, and then be a part of different things like this show. Alrighty, so let's get back over to Carmen. So Carmen, tell us, what do you have going on nowadays?
Well, Tonya, I think, focus is a good word for me. I have a lot going on, but I'm really honing it in. I'm getting ready for a book. I am in the midst of a book launch. My book, Just See Me, Sacred Stories from the Other Side of Dementia, is due out in April of this year. So that means I'm getting out there talking about it, and just the amazing stories of the families who contributed, and how important storytelling is for us as families and individuals and businesses.
I know, because you do all of my headshots and you're brilliant at it. And it's really kind of telling a story. You know, people don't really think of a snapshot really capturing a story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I like to, I think of headshots and I think of those traditional kind of static, we all look the same, right? And I prefer to work with businesses and individuals and say, this are your business portraits, and they tell your story. And because they tell your story, it means it shows your personality, might show some of your products, maybe a little bit of a day in the life, what you're doing. And by being authentic and real and, really telling more, giving more information, people will draw in those ideal clients, or those in your case, people who might be interested in public speaking, who can say, wow, she looks fun. That looks like it could be fun. Maybe it's not so scary, right? So it just gives way more information to draw in the right people to work with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, since we've done those, I went from the, nice headshots, professional headshots, to your kind of storytelling headshots. And it has made a huge difference. People are like, oh my gosh, I love that picture of you loving on your book. And I love that picture of you. And I'm like, wow. And you don't realize how people are really wanting those stories.
So much. And it's not hard. It doesn't take that much longer in the photo shoot. It's a matter of me as the photographer and storyteller getting to know you, what you want to say, what your drive is for your business. And so I've worked with a variety of businesses. It's a lot of fun for me, and families too. I mean, these are our legacies, right? And in our legacy, what we leave for those that are there following us, or in families, for generations to come, that legacy, that story is incredibly important. And it's important that it be real. And
I think everyone has that moment that you're like, wow, I didn't know that about Meemaw, or about my great-great-grandparents or whatever. And you're like, I wish we had those stories. It has such impact, much further than just a story, right?
Yes, absolutely. And, I combine video along with the images also. So I'm doing way more of that, which is a lot of fun. I mean, I created one for my grandson with some images and some of him when he was born, because along with the story of what it felt like for me at the time, because I figure by the time he has memories that stick in 10 years, I'm going to be almost 70. I can't believe it, almost 70. But I want him to know what it was like now when he was born. And I figure maybe when he's 20 or 30 or has children of his own, that will really, really mean something to him. I mean, it's important now, but the older we get, the more important it is. So.
Right. What?
So make sure we look good. Yeah, Grandma did rock it one day. grandma laughed loud. I mean, things you can't really always get from images, right? You can show laughter and it gives that message, and that's all beautiful and that connection. But to have a little bit of that on video, that, to show my personality is important, and to show what he was like then too. So.
Yeah, I know. I have a recording of my grandfather. He came on my radio show when I had an AM station. And, I'm frantically trying to find it because, it's on a CD amongst all the gazillion CDs I've just got filed. But it was like so amazing to hear his story on my show. It was a Veterans Day, show, and he was talking about, things that were important to him. And there's a moment that I think everybody should tell their story, but I find that a lot of people, even when they're telling their story, they're still kind of holding back. They're not like really going deep and juicy where people really like to go.
Yeah. So that's that authenticity piece. And, I think our world is filled with sound bites. We've got bullet points and sound bites and, and on social media and on the web. And even, we know that people spend very little time on a website. It either gets them or it doesn't. And you've got 7 seconds or something to, and so we're used to boom, 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 real fast. And the actual then what we lose in that is conversations and depth of conversation. What's really going on? What are things really like? And there's a certain level of discomfort with some of that. And so. For me, especially with my background in nursing and getting to know people, I mean, I saw people at their worst, their most vulnerable, their most difficult times. And for me, it's a comfortable ground. And I think that's one of the gifts I bring too. I mean, we all have gifts, right? I think one of my gifts is I can sit down with people and, within a couple minutes, I've got a good life story going on. And it's real. It's good. It's real. It's because it's safe. It's holding that sacred, safe ground for people.
Yeah, you're probably the type of person that, in Starbucks line, someone turns around and starts telling you their whole life story, right?
Yeah. That's correct. But I love that. I think, the vibes that are getting sent out is that's what, that's juice for me. That's awesome. And life would be so empty for me without that. And because I think that's really what connects it all. And I have a cloth here. I'll show you. It's I think, there are each of us, our stories, we have individual threads, right? And they all kind of touch each other and they're all woven together. But it's not until you see it all together that you see, wow, what a beautiful cloth, because we're all connected and we're all a piece of it. But individually, the threads might be beautiful, but together, it's incredible. And that's what makes life really, to me, what gives life real meaning.
Yeah, so, I know when we first met, you're like, me, a speaker? I don't know. That doesn't really, I'm just a nurse, and I don't know. And here you are rocking the stages now. And
I know.
Videos, and you're like, oh.
What was that, almost 3 years ago, I'm going to say. Yeah, I was thinking about leaving the clinic, and I knew I was going to do something different, but and it was such a far cry from what I was doing. And I'm just I am driven to do this. I don't know why, but I have to do it. And so I'm going to do it, fear or not. Yeah.
I love watching you grow. And cool. I mean, that's really what it's about, right? Is taking a new thread and weaving it into the old thread, and it's still the same you just have this different journey now.
Yeah. And it was always there. I say I was a serial employee. After 2 or 3 years, I'm getting a little bit antsy, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm just not, it's great, I love it, but it's just not enough. And truly for me, one day I just got this loud message, you need to write this book, tell these stories, and add photos. What? Okay. I tried not to think about how. I just said, this is what I'm going to do, and let's see how it falls into place. And one of the most incredible things about this 2-3 year journey for me are the people who came into my life, because you're one of them for sure. And then, you introduced me to people, and this network of not just people who come into my lives, but who are like a really important part of my growth and a connection for me. And I would have never had that. I didn't have that whatsoever in my previous world. And, we have like our coworkers, but not like this. And those of us who are entrepreneurs and who are working hard and we are driven. You recognize when you see another person that's driven and that's their passion. You can see it,
Yeah, you can see it, feel it. You just know you're in the presence of someone who's on a mission.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, these are my peeps. I feel it now. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
it was like
it's
the
good.
first time I felt like I wasn't just in a society. I felt like I was actually part of it and could really flourish in it.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know what I speak of. I know you do. I've seen some of your pictures from earlier days.
I know. Yeah. You have not been an introvert. And so I always love showing this. And people are like, oh my gosh, is that really you? I'm like,
yeah.
No, right? And this is that holiday gala, ladies. This is what I wore to a gala. So that's how introverted I was. So
see? Yeah, because you found your thing, and yeah. How amazing is that?
And even for me, I heard that message saying, Tonya, you need to go out and change the world. I'm like, me? I'm just little Tonya. I'm little Tonya. Who am I to change the world? And but yet it just was like this pull, right?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know how to do it, but I got to start with myself first, I think.
Yeah. I still say it's like my mission from God. It's like this message. And so there's like nothing, I don't really see obstacles. They're challenges, but never that I can't overcome. And it's like, okay, let me see how I can work around that. And now I have a group of people I can call to say, hey, I'm having a hard time. Or what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? And how wonderful that's about those connections, right?
Yeah, I love it when people call me and they're like, hey, I'm kind of stuck. What do you think? And I'm usually like, oh, here, boom. And they're like, oh, wow, I should have called you like 3 hours ago.
Yeah, because so much of the time we're in our own way and it's like right here. And that someone else mentions it. It's like, oh, yeah, that's it. It was right there.
Yeah. And a lot of times, I think even especially as women, we don't ask for help enough. We want to be helpers, but we don't realize that we also can receive.
Oh my goodness. And when I was talking about the book and writing the book, one of the surprises for me was that when I followed up a year later and I went back to visit I've been in contact with them, but I went back to see people, and some of the people and the person with dementia, and some of them have passed, but the families and how they responded and said, telling my story was so healing. It was so powerful. Just the words that they used, and then they said, and you were here, and you're such an important piece of that. I never thought about that. I'm way more than just an observer or a participant in this time of their life, and how incredible is that?
Right, and
really
look
incredible.
at the history of humans. They've always had a storyteller. They kind of continued on the traditions and the stories. You're that person now.
Yes. Yeah. Fortunately, I don't have to carve on a cave anymore. We've got, but that's when from the get-go, stories are how people carried on and they learned. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So I know that you have something amazing to share with our listeners today.
I do. So I have a newsletter that goes out once a month with updates, cool information too, lots of great information, whether you're looking to tell your stories for your families or your business. But I also have an ebook. So anyone who signs up for the newsletter will get an ebook that is really about ways to create those meaningful bonds and connection through storytelling. So it basically takes our talk and just kind of way more information. And you can go to carmenbuckphotography.com. The link to the newsletter is on there. There's a direct newsletter I have. It's a bit.ly. I was looking at it and going, I don't know if that's easier or harder just to go to carmenbuck.com, Carmen Buck Photography. Yeah. So yeah, and all over the place is sign up for newsletter at the bottom of the page, and there's a way to put a little message on there that I'm making sure people get a copy of the ebook. And I do Facebook Lives, I do all kinds of information out there, and pretty soon some webinars, and so they can stay on top of it. And certainly the book's coming out, so I'll be getting around then.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yay. Yeah.
So remember, everyone, go to Carmen Buck Photography like now. Going on her newsletter and get connected to her. You definitely would want her to come and do a story for you and your family, or even a photography session, because like I said, she's my photographer. I adore her. And so she's amazing. So thank you, Carmen, for being on today.
Thank you, Tonya. It's been a pleasure.
All right, everybody. We will see you next time on the Tonya Hofmann's Fabulous TV Show with another fabulous guest star. Thanks. Bye, Carmen. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.